back to the Redzone Rundown. Little special episode here, Super Bowl edition here. Due to scheduling conflicts here, I'm riding with a new co-host here. This is Gino. We're going to get into it right off the bat. Obviously, the Super Bowl happened this weekend here. 49ers unable to get the W there against the Chiefs. A game that was kind of the tale of two halves, kind of like the Niners had in the conference round there with the Lions. It's kind of a tale of two halves. Kind of a sloppy first half there on both teams' parts. Neither team really wanted to take over in that game. The Niners, in my opinion, did look stronger in the first half than the Chiefs did, and the Chiefs just did what the Chiefs do. They hung around, played good defense, got a couple key turnovers in the first half as well as the second half. It was a game that the Niners just really couldn't put out of reach for him. And everybody knows you give Patty Mahomes a chance to come back and beat you, he's going to come back and beat you. He's definitely narrowing that gap between Tom Brady and himself for the greatest comeback guys, if not greatest of all time comparisons. It's definitely warranted at this point. You don't have the success that he's had in the league and not be put into that category at this point. They're sticking with Mahomes there. He has 333 yards of passing there. Does run for 66 rushing yards as well, which led the team in rushing yards as well. Has the 2 touchdowns. Did have the one bad ball that he threw. It was picked off there by Jair Brown, the Penn State rookie there. Still not real sure who that was going to, if it was meant for Kelsey or the deep receiver there on that one, but definitely a miss on that play. Most of those yards came in the second half. They didn't have a whole lot of success there in the first half, and kind of really got into it in the second half. Obviously, everybody's talking about the Travis Kelsey, Andy Reid going at it kind of deal, where Travis kind of got in his face there, bumped him a little bit, and had a little screaming match with him there, just kind of letting his passion flow out there. I don't see anything more there than that. I've heard some people talking, trying to bring assault charges and all kinds of absolute nonsense. In my opinion, there you can look around the league and that stuff happens pretty frequently. Obviously, not the best look for the NFL. I'm sure the NFL is not super happy about it. Don't really see a fine or anything in his future there. He did apologize and said he wished you could take that back there pretty quickly after the game. Him and Andy are very, very close. So both those guys have the utmost respect for each other. I don't think there's any ill will there or anything like that. It was just Travis saying, "I got to be in the game. I'm one of the best players in this team, if not the best offensive weapon on the field." And in the red zone there, he's not on the field. Obviously, Pacheco puts that ball on the ground. Noah Gray's right there with it. So if you think maybe if Kelsey's on the field there, maybe things are different. Maybe the play call's different. Could have been a big turning point in the game. Honestly, I think it was a big turning point in that game because after that play, the Chiefs offense kind of figured it out, kind of got back to letting Kelsey be Kelsey and just finding ways to get open. Nobody runs Kelsey routes like Kelsey. Obviously, there's a reason why they call them Kelsey routes. It's not really a designed route, but he just finds ways to get open and make plays when he does. I mean, at that point, he only had 1 catch for 1 yard in the first half, and then ends up going off for 8 for 92 in the second half there. Almost scores the game-winning touchdown there in overtime, before they go to the little corn dog route there and get McCole Hardman into the end zone for the win. Pacheco, I thought, had kind of a mixed bag in this game. In the first half there, he kind of looked little out of his element. Wasn't running quite as hard, I didn't think. Obviously, had that big fumble. Missed some big plays, in my opinion. Ended up having a decent day, though. He had 18 carries for 59 yards. So I do like seeing them getting him involved with the 18 carries. McCole Hardman, man, it's a hell of a whirlwind of a season. He starts the season with the Jets. Aaron Rodgers gets hurt, kind of loses his spot there in that offense. Without Rodgers there, that offense was completely different. Ends up making his way back, mid-season there to the Chiefs, and then ends up being a Super Bowl hero here, where he ends up in the end zone in overtime to get that big win there, get the big W there. So it's kind of crazy little cap to the season there. going from the highs of being with Rodgers to obviously the lows of losing him so early in the season to coming back home to Minnesota, coming back home to the Kansas City the Kansas City Chiefs there to get the W and another Super Bowl ring for McColl. As far as the defensive side of the ball, the Chiefs were phenomenal there. I thought Spags really had a couple key moments there. The overtime there with the Niners had the ball. He gets Chris Jones untouched to force Purdy to throw that ball away to give them a chance to go down there and win it with a touchdown instead of having to go down there and tie it with a touchdown. Gives them the option of extending it with the field goal as well. And just so everybody's aware, the new NFL rules, the playoff rules there, the new NFL playoffs, it's a whole new game in the first quarter there. So I know there's a lot of people talking. They almost have time running out there. If time would have ran out there in the first quarter, it's essentially what it is. The first quarter, it would have went right over to the second overtime or second quarter. That quarter would have featured end of the half-esque timing, so you would have had a 2-minute warning, that kind of stuff. Kind of a bad beat there for me. I did have a bet on the line there for a double overtime game, so that came 3 seconds away from hitting on the double overtime for me. So that would have been a nice little chunk of change. I would have hit on that, but unfortunately I missed on that by 3 seconds. We did all right for the game, though. Obviously, I did have tails, was pretty heavily invested in tails, so that started off bad, but we had some other stuff hit during the game, so ended up coming up on top. So can't complain there with how the betting day went for me. Could have been better, obviously, but we'll take. Hey, a win's a win when it comes to gambling, so we'll take it. Obviously, the big play in this game here, where the game really turned for me, was the punt that goes off the 49ers defenseman's legs, and they're unable to recover that punt. The game really changed there. Justin Watson there jumps on that ball. He had a pretty decent game on the offensive side of the ball too, with 3 catches for 54 yards. Recovered the game really game-changing muff punt. Pretty crazy to see a game that we didn't really have much return game in. Super Bowl's kind of been known for that. There was not a single kickoff return, only a handful of punts in the game. So, and obviously that was a massive turning point in the game, where special teams kind of really came back and bit the 49ers in the ass in this game, in my opinion. But the Chiefs defensively played great. Nick Bolton was all over the field. He had 13 tackles in this game. Trent McDuffie made some big plays. He had the big knockdown pass there towards the end of the game there in the 2-minute drill there, which really, if they get that first down, the Niners are going to bleed the clock out, kick the field goal, and Mahomes is never going to touch the field again, which is really, honestly, the only way you're ever going to beat Mahomes, in my opinion. So if you give Mahomes a chance to beat you, he's more than likely going to beat you. Spags dials up the D-back blitz there. McDuffie knocks that ball down, forces them to take the punt. Forces them to take the field goal there. It gets Mahomes the ball back with like a minute 50 to go in the game. Obviously, they go down there, don't have to really rush it. They do pretty well managing the clock, getting down there, kick the field goal there, unable to win it there in regulation. But then obviously they come out there in overtime and get it done. Leo Chanel, he was a monster in this game too. It's good to see the smaller school guy there, kind of coming up big. Not very small school. He played at Wisconsin, but the smaller name guy come out there and get it done. He had 6 tackles in the game. Had a tackle for loss. He was the one who blocked the extra point as well, which ended up being a massive difference in the end of the game there with them only getting the field goal there and making it, keep it with a field goal game essentially there. So it was a massive play on that block punt or block field goal. Jesus, can't talk. But on the 49ers side, Purdy played decent, and I wasn't disappointed nor overly impressed. A very Brock Purdy-like S-Day. Didn't make any mistakes, really kind of managed the game very well. People do call him a game manager, and he is very good as a game manager, and he can make all the big-time throws. But I wasn't disappointed with Purdy's performance there. He looked like he was poised to win that game. Just a couple plays, in the special teams game, really, which unfortunately he's on the field for, kind of are the difference in this one. He goes 255, a touchdown. Kind of feel bad for a guy like Jawan Jennings, who, if the Niners win that game, he probably wins MVP. He played phenomenal in that game. Obviously, he throws the trick play touchdown there, which did have non-quarterback player to throw a touchdown pass in there. So that one hit the bank account pretty nice. So I appreciate the air, Juwan. Thanks for looking out for me. He also had 4 catches for 42 yards, had a receiving touchdown as well. So he played very well, with his arm as well as his legs in the receiving game. McCaffrey had a very McCaffrey like day. He had 22 carries, 80 yards on the ground, 8 catches for 80 yards in the air, had a touchdown. Did have that very uncharacteristic fumble on the first possession there, where the Niners were really just going down the field and uh and putting one on the Chiefs defense there that first drive, and then obviously McCaffrey puts the ball on the ground. They lose that ball, and it obviously kills the drive there and kind of stagnated the offense there for the rest of the first half. Uh, but obviously, the Niners were up 10 in this game, and it does seem like every time Mahomes is going to win a Super Bowl, he's going to be down 10. So maybe next year, if they get back there, whoever they're playing, very well could be the Niners again next year. Would be overly shocked to see this matchup for the next couple years here. Both teams are loaded and ready to go. Continuously. So that it's going to be a pretty good rivalry there with them. But maybe next year don't put them down 10. Maybe keep them at 7. Maybe get it to 14. Stay away from the 10-point deficit there for the Chiefs. It does seem like that is the worst lead in football. A 10-point lead with the Chiefs, they're going to come back and get you. But as far as the rest of the Niners offense there, little bit disappointing here for the receivers on that team. Ayuk had 3 for 49. Like to see more out of him in a big game. Debo only 3 for 33. So the two big guys outside just didn't give you their normal production that you normally see out of those guys. You did have to kind of get it from some other guys like obviously Jawan Jennings there and Juszczyk. He had 2 catches for 31 yards. He did what he does. That he's one of the best receiving fullbacks of all time, in my opinion, and one of the best fullbacks of all time. And as a whole. But you also look at guys who kind of let you down in this one. George Kittle only had 3 targets in the game, 2 catches for 4 yards. It's just not good enough. I thought this was a game that the Chiefs would struggle to defend somebody like Kittle. I thought Kittle had every opportunity to have a big game, especially with the Chiefs having the two stud corners and Snead and Trent McDuffie. I thought there would be a chance for him to work well in the middle of the field and kind of get it done that way, and it just wasn't the case as far as Kittle. So I think he's going to look back at that game and be quite underwhelmed with his personal performance in this one. Fred Warner obviously does what Fred Warner does. He's the best linebacker in the league for a reason. He had 13 tackles in this game. He's flying all over the field. Heart does go out to Drake Greenlaw. That he was so amped up for this game, playing so well, and then obviously has that absolute freak injury coming onto the field where he's kind of just doing some calf raises, bouncing on the sideline, trying to get himself hyped up to come back onto the field. And as soon as he comes onto the field there, the Achilles just goes up. Been a crazy year for Achilles. I don't ever recall this many Achilles injuries ever. So I don't know. I don't how really have an idea why that is. Maybe athletes just get bigger, stronger, faster, and that's just a joint or a tendon that we're not used to using quite at that high of an explosive level. So obviously, hopefully, for the best recovery on him. I would not be surprised if he's not ready to go till mid-season next year, unless he gets with Aaron Rodgers' guy there and maybe gets back quicker than anticipated there. So wishing him the best for a speedy recovery there, and a long off season with kind of how that one ended for the Niners. This one's going to hurt, I think, for the Niners a little bit there. Obviously, to get that close and not get it done is always a tough way to end the year. There's only one team that's happy with how the year ends, and that's whoever wins it. Obviously, the Chiefs now have the chance to come back next year and win a third straight. It's the first back-to-backs in 19 years, back from when New England did it 19 years ago. it's pretty crazy, with how many good teams have been out there, have been good consistently. It's a really crazy year this year in the NFL. A bunch of injuries to big name guys this year, losing so many quarterbacks this year, guys, tackles and linemen and everything missing time. Even obviously the Chiefs missed Joe Tooney in this game, who's an All Pro guard. And then his backup, it comes out he finished the game with a torn UCL and could barely move his elbow. So it's crazy performance out of him to gut that out, get through. Know your teams need you. You're short at that position. In the Super Bowl in the biggest game, and to play, he played well. And he played very well. And that's not an easy team to play well against. The Niners got some dogs on the defensive line with Hargrave and Chase Young and Bosa and all them guys. It's a murderer's row of who's who on that defensive line and linebacker core. One of the best front sevens, if not the best front seven in the NFL. But it's sad to see the season go. Obviously it's tough to get to the end of the year. No, we're not going to have any real NFL football here for a while. But it does kind of get us into one of my favorite times of the year. We're officially now in draft season. Obviously, I'm excited to see where the spring league goes here with the XFL and the UFL combining there. So it's, excited to see kind of what that product looks like this year. See where free agency picks up there. I think this is going to be a very interesting offseason. A lot of veteran quarterbacks potentially on the trade market or free agent market with Kirk and Justin Fields potentially moving, and who knows what the Broncos are doing with Russ, and what does New England do with Mac, and there's a bunch of moving parts this offseason. So I don't think we'll be in for a boring offseason by any means. That'll wrap up the rundown there for this year's Super Bowl. We'll look forward to getting back into the rundown here once. Maybe we'll do some stuff for the USFL. We'll see what we do for the spring leagues there on that. I'll have to get with Judge there and see what time constraints we'll have for those. But that'll do it for the rundown for the Super Bowl rundown. I'm going to get into my in the zone and in the red players here. Obviously, in the zone player for me. I want to give a little more love there to Leo Chanel with 6 tackles, tackle for a loss, blocks that extra point, which really changes the dynamic. The difference between a 4-point game and a 3-point game seems so minuscule to the average fan out there, but it's really the change of the world. It's a difference between being okay with not having to force the ball for a touchdown and being able to be we're in field goal range, don't force it, don't make a mistake. Just get the first down, or just take the points when you have them. So it's a massive play in that game. So shout out Leo. my Super Bowl MVP, we'll call it. And as far as my in the red player, which would be our least valuable player for us, and for me that was was George Kittle. George Kittle is just not having an impact in the receiving game. Wasn't really a threat. The only real big play he had in the game was in the first quarter there on that, I believe it was a holding penalty that ended up coming back. He caught that big long one there that ended up coming back and not counting. But other than that, just 2 catches, 4 yards, only had 3 targets in the game. And in the biggest game of the year, you need your big time players to step up, and he just wasn't a part of the offense for some reason there, which does surprise me because I thought Shanahan would have a good scheme for him here. I think the Chiefs could be got with a good tight end. So I think they took a swing there, a swing and a miss on Kittle, on the game plan for Kittle there. Very similarly, I thought the Chiefs had a very poor plan with Kelsey in the first half of that game. But obviously they switched up at halftime there, and he comes back for 92 yards in the second half. So you can't blame that. That's why Andy Reid's one of the best ever. Yeah, I mean he's definitely in the top 2 in modern era for sure, if not all time, depending on how you look on some of the older old school coaches. But Andy's got the utmost respect here in the NFL, and he just gets it done. And obviously, he already said he's coming back. I did see Travis Kelce on the New Heights podcast said he will not ever play for another coach other than Andy Reid. So if Andy decides to hang it up before Travis, to me it sounds like Travis would hang it up with him. So that's a shout out there. That just shows you the amount of respect that those guys have for each other. It's two Hall of Fame guys that just don't want to play with anybody else. So you appreciate that. Obviously, Mahomes is Mahomes. So I mean, why would Andy come back to try to win 3 in a row? So it's they're very dead set on being a dynasty, and it's all on the table now. Not I don't think we've seen a three-peat here in quite some time. So it's exciting to see them have the opportunity for it. Obviously, New England had the chance to do it and couldn't do it. They did win 3 in 4 years. So we'll see what next year has for Kansas City. But that'll wrap up my In the Zone and the Red players here for us. I'm going to do a little special this week here. We were going to do some other stuff here with our top 10 tackles. So I'll save my top 10 for when I get back here with Judge here. Hopefully next week we'll get that out to you. The top 10 DN video from the full episode from last week that will be dropping here in the next day or so. It's been a little hectic life here in my personal life here. Obviously, filming here in my nursery. I'm about to have a baby here, so we had a baby shower this weekend on Super Bowl Sunday because, why not? So a little hectic there with that. So I'll get that out here in the next couple of days for the top 10 video. We'll do the top 10 tackles next week here as we're about 70 days here away from the draft. So it's coming up, and I'm excited to see some of the moving parts here. I think we're going to see a very busy, very, very busy NFL draft day. But what we're going to do here, speaking of draft, I'm going to do a little solo mock draft 1.0 here. I guess solo 1.0 draft here. Not going to do any trades here on this one. I'm going to get into some trade stuff here probably once free agency hits. Possibly next week. I want to do a 2-round mock draft here with Judge if we can get together. But with that being said here, let's get into it. Get it pulled up here. All right. So obviously with the number 1 overall pick, I don't see there's any way possible that the Chicago Bears aren't taking Caleb Williams. I think it's been pretty consensus. I think there was a reasonable consideration there that they may look to trade that. And I still think it's possible. I think there's a chance that the Washington Commanders now with Cliff Kingsbury could definitely look to move up to take Caleb Williams. If the Bears go to 2, I think Marvin Harrison would be in play possibly, but I could still see them also going quarterback. I think Justin Fields is going to have a pretty decent trade market. The Falcons stand out to me as a potential suitor for Justin Fields. The Pittsburgh Steelers, Mike Tomlin has apparently been very, very in on him. I could see a team like maybe one of the teams who don't get, so like the Vikings or the Broncos. I don't see the Broncos really being in the Justin Fields market, but maybe the Raiders potentially in that market. The Seahawks possibly could be an outside team for Justin Fields. I think there's definitely going to be a solid market for Justin. I think he's going to have a couple suitors there. I think you can probably get a second round pick there, maybe a couple mid round picks as well as sweeteners. I do think the Bears would consider trading down, but potentially still take a quarterback if they do. But in this one here, I'm going to say they stick at 1, take Caleb Williams. That would put the Washington Commanders up here on the clock. And I think there's a very real conversation you could have with Drake May. I do think Drake May is a better quarterback. But with Cliff Kingsbury being in Washington, I think they are going to look at a guy like Jaden Daniels a little bit more. Kingsbury does seem to like the more mobile guy, the Kyler Murray-esque guys. I think so. I think he would look more for a Jaden Daniels, more of a playmaker at that position at number 2. So I'm going to take Jaden Daniels to the Washington Commanders there. And that would bring us up to my New England Patriots here. And this is a tough one for me. The Patriots kind of seem like I don't have any idea what we're going to do. It does seem like there's a growing growing thought process that they may stick with Mac Jones. I don't know if I like the idea. I personally really would like Jaden Daniels. I really like that athletic guy to kind of really just bring a new vibe to New England. But with that being said, in this scenario, I think you would love to see Drake May fall here, but I'm going to say they give Mac Jones one more chance to kind of be the guy. And if he's not the guy, they'll be back in the market next year for maybe Quinn Ewers or Shador or somebody else here who might fall in love with. I'm going to say they go out and get their elite receiver and take a Maserati Marv, take Marvin Harrison out of Ohio State here for the New England Patriots. And I think in this case scenario here, this is absolute worst case scenario for the Cardinals. If this is what happens, I fully expect the Cardinals to trade out of this spot. Somebody would be coming up for Drake May. This would be a spot I could see if Drake May's on the board at 4. I could definitely see Arizona trading this pick with like Atlanta, the Vikings, the Broncos. I think would definitely be very interested here if probably take a lot to go back to 12. But I think Atlanta would make a lot of sense to move up here. I'm not going to take Drake May in this. I'm going to say they in this mock draft scenario they do stay put and take. I'm going to say I like Rome Odunze better. But I think the Cardinals would like Malik Neighbors better, so I definitely think they're going wide out here. The top 3 guys here are elite. So in my opinion, Malik Neighbors there to the Cardinals. At 5, I think there's a solid chance their 5 could be in play for a trade here as well, especially if Drake May's still on the board. I think they would be hard pressed to not trade back here. But again, not doing trades in this one, so I'm going to say Jim Harbaugh comes in. Jim Harbaugh loves to run 2 tight end sets. And there's a generational guy from what everybody's considering there at Brock Bowers. I'm going to say Brock Bowers is the guy here. My only concern now with Brock Bowers is there was a photo released here this week, him standing next to Rob Gronkowski. And man, either Gronk's a monster or Brock Bowers isn't as big as we think he is because Brock Bowers looked a lot smaller than Gronk. But I still like Brock. I still think he's an absolute elite tight end prospect here. So we'll go Jim Harbaugh taking Brock Bowers there at 5. 6 here in this case here. The Giants sitting at 6. Obviously, you got Daniel Jones there. You paid him a bunch of money. Do they go back to the ACC and take another quarterback in Drake May? I'm going to say it's going to be too much for them to pass up here. I do think Joe Alt's probably where they go in real life here because I don't think May makes it here. But in this scenario, we'll take Drake May to the Giants at number 6. Number 7 here, the Tennessee Titans are on the board here. I don't think there's even a consideration. They're taking Joe Alt there. They're not much to say there. Joe Alt's the best tackle in this class, in my opinion. Obviously, we'll get into how we rank our tackles next week. Spoiler: Joe Alt's the number 1 tackle for me. I think he's the number 1 tackle for most people here. He's definitely been a high-ranking commodity now in that class here. Now 8, we have the Atlanta Falcons up here. I still think there is a very real possibility that this is Dallas Turner. I've mocked this a couple times with them taking Dallas Turner, and I just don't see how they can pass on him at this point. I think that you can make an argument here. It's either Dallas Turner or Jared First. I think they're going D-end. They're going edge rusher here, in my opinion. So I think it's going to be whichever one they like better. I like the physical presence of Dallas Turner a little bit more than Jared Verse. So, 8 overall here, we'll take Dallas Turner to Atlanta Falcons. Number 9 here, this is dream scenario for the Bears. The Bears fans, in our back and forth mock draft hated me taking Cooper DeJean, so I guess we'll leave Cooper DeJean off. We'll leave Cooper DeJean on the board here. I'm going to give them Rome Odunze. I think if you get Caleb Williams and Rome Odunze, add that with DJ Moore and Cole Kmet on that offense, you really got something at that point there with with the Chicago Bears offense there, it really would be a vastly different offense than it was last year. So I do really like that upgrade there. Obviously, got some new coordinators in there. So Shane Waldron coming in there, used to running, coming from that Seattle system. So I think he's used to using two big stretch to field guys. Rome's a guy who can run. He's big, tall, fast, physical, everything you want in a receiver. Uh, I think he's a hell of a lot closer to Marvin Harrison territory than Malik Neighbors is. But the end of some NFL guys like Neighbors better. I think it's just which flavor you like better. Me, I would take Rome over Neighbors, but in this case, we'll take Rome there to number 9 to the Chicago Bears at 10. The New York Jets here on the clock. They are definitely going tackle. And it's just, who do they like here? Do they like Fasciano or Fawaga? I think in this case scenario, they would take Fasciano here. So I'm just going to mock that there. Number 10, Olu Fasciano out of Penn State there to the New York Jets. It's a massive need for them. Obviously, they missed out on a tackle in last year's class. They got to find a way to protect Aaron Rodgers coming back off an injury there. So I'm going to say Fasciano there to the Jets. At number 11 here, the Minnesota Vikings. They're in an interesting situation. For me, it's going to depend a ton on what they do at quarterback. If they look into a trade, for Justin Fields or maybe Russell Wilson or somebody, one of the veterans on the market. Or do they bring Kirk back? I don't think they officially said they're not going to bring Kirk back. I don't think financially they are going to be able to bring Kirk back. So I do think they're going to be looking for a cheaper option there. So I really do think quarterback is in play, either Penix or Bo Nix or JJ McCarthy maybe potentially there. I still think that's a little rich for my blood at 11 for any of them. I do think Penix is a really good fit for Minnesota. I think if they go quarterback for me, it will be Michael Penix. But in this case scenario, I'm going to say Jared Verse is going to be too much to overcome there. They have some aging guys there. Daniel Hunter is getting older there. I believe his contract's up at the end of the year as well. So and Jared Verse is the next guy at edge there. He's a very, very good 5-tech edge rusher there. So I'm going to say Jared Verse to the Minnesota Vikings. And then this we'll bring up the old Denver Broncos here. I do think there's a lot in play here. Russ, I think he has to be gone, but they haven't said a ton on him in the last little bit. I think he's going to be tough to get rid of. I really do, but I do think they are in quarterback mode fully here at number 12. I think Bo Nix makes the most sense for me for the Denver Broncos here. I've been on that train for a while. I'm not going to get off of it. Bo Nix to the Denver Broncos there. I feel like he fits the Sean Payton system very, very well. And that's where the way they go there. Now we've got 13. We've got the Las Vegas Raiders on the clock. Also potentially quarterback here. Don't know if that's the way they go. Obviously, there's some good guys here. Cooper Jean's still on the board. Jerzar Newton's on the board. They could go tackle. Bunch of corners that can really play. The Louthouse out there. Quentin Mitchell, my number 1 corner. He's still on the board. They have a lot of needs over there. I think they want to try to get Max Crosby some help. Jerzon Newton really, really seems like he's a good fit for me. Byron Murphy, I think, could even potentially be in this talk here. I think he could really benefit from a big combine, and I think he's going to have a big combine. But Jerzon Newton feels very Raider-like to me, so I'm gonna give him to the Raiders here at 13. The Saints, I don't think, are in the quarterback market. They're fully expected to essentially commit to Derek Carr for the next 2 years with a contract restructuring. I do think they need some offensive line help. So it's kind of be, which do you like here, Fawaga or J.C. Latham? I really like Fawaga. He's really flying up some boards here. I think there is a very real possibility that he is the number 2 tackle taken. I don't think there's any chance he jumps Joe Alt, although I have seen a mock, I cannot remember the name on it, who does have him as the number one tackle taken in the top 6. I want to say he went 6 to the Giants, I believe that was. I have to look back and see who that actually was. J.C. Latham is a bigger body guy. Fuaga's a big dude too, so they're both very big players. Latham played on the right hand side most of his life. Might kick into guard at some point. Fuaga there, very similar prospects on him. To me, I'm gonna take Fuaga here to the Titans, get them a bookend tackle there. Try to really commit to the Derek Carr experiment there. And then number 15 here, the Indianapolis Colts on the clock. They are probably in the cornerback market here. And it's a great one to be in. There's some really good corners still on the board here. Obviously, none of them went, so they're all still on the board here. At 15, that's if you can get one of these corners here at 15, which I think there's going to be quite a few of them available. This is the deepest cornerback class I've seen in a long time, which I think honestly hurts their class. Chris Ballard does a really good job of drafting here. I don't think he'll whiff on this pick. I don't see a receiver in play here. I don't know if they're even in the receiver market. I think they like the guys they have. Obviously, Michael Pittman is a free agent. I don't see him getting out of Indianapolis. I don't see there's any way in hell he gets out of there. They like Josh Downs. And the receiver core is not as thin as it once was. They've done a pretty good job of drafting there. And with obviously Pittman and Downs and those guys. They could be in the veteran market as well. I would not be shocked by Mike Evans or Stephon Diggs is probably going to be in the trade market. I'm hearing some Justin Jefferson talk that he might get moved. He's going to want a bunch of money, and depending on where that franchise sees himself as, we'll see what happens there. What's going to happen with that? But here at 15, I'm going to say the Colts addressed a need for me here. They were very young in the secondary last year. I'm going to say they take best available here, and it's Cooper DeJean. He fits the Indianapolis way. He's a freak athlete, can run, cover, inside, outside, could play safety, gives you a lot of versatility in the back there. I really think Shane Steichen can find a way to use him very well, and I think he's going to interview very well. And I think Steichen's going to love him. So Cooper DeJean there, number 15 to the Indianapolis Colts. Number 16, the other team that really hated mock draft 1.0 for us. We had him taking a corner here. Learned they hate all the corners in this draft, apparently. So at 16, I still think there's a corner potentially in play here. J.C. Latham, I think, is definitely in play here. I do think they need more interior than exterior on the line. Leitao will be in play here. Jackson Powers Johnson, I think, is definitely in play here. That could be an interesting pick. I could see quarterback being in play here, which is where I think they're going to end up going here. I'm going to go Michael Penix Jr. I'll keep him in Washington. Seemed like a match made in heaven there. Keep him up there in the Northwest. That'll bring us here to number 17, the Indianapolis Colts. A lot of question marks on this team. Obviously, Josh Allen's going to want a ton of money to come back. I do think he comes back. So I think they are probably okay on the edge, if he comes back. I could see line go Jackson Powers Johnson. This is another team that I could see potentially be in the Jackson Powers Johnson market. They could be in cornerback markets on Wiggins, Terrion Arnold, Quentin Mitchell, all in play here for me. I think they're going to go back to that Clemson well with Nate Wiggins. Bring him back there. Obviously, Trevor Lawrence coming from Clemson, Travis Etienne coming from Clemson. A lot of Clemson guys on that roster as it is. I think they add another one here in Nate Wiggins. And that'll bring the Cincinnati Bengals up here at 18. I definitely think they are in offensive line mode. There is some question marks on who comes back there. Maybe some cap casualties on that line as well. Jonah Williams could potentially not be back. So I think J.C. Latham, they're all over J.C. Latham here at 18. I don't think they hesitate turning that card in. 19 to the LA Rams. LA Rams are a tough one. You kind of got to what do the Rams see themselves as? They see themselves as still a legitimate Super Bowl contender coming into this year. A lot of people were very, very low on the Rams, thinking they were going to have a very, very bad year. They have some big name guys with Stafford and Kupp and Aaron Donald. But beyond that, there was a lot of question marks on this roster. A lot of young players playing big time minutes there. Obviously, Stafford has talked in the very recent past about potentially hanging him up. So, do they look to the future for our quarterback here, or do they try to go after it in the last couple of years of his career? I do think this is a very interesting position for them. Lietow would definitely be in play here for me. Terrion Arnold, Quentin Mitchell definitely in play for me. Amarius Mims potentially in play. Don't know if I see him going that way. I think they look to add their next, Jalen Ramsey kind of deal. Obviously traded him away, so I think they're going to look for a very, very good corner and take Terrion Arnold here out of Alabama. Click the right button. There we go. That'll take us number 20 here. The Pittsburgh Steelers. They need some offensive line help still. Interior mainly, linebacker. I think they could definitely be in the cornerback class again. Obviously taking Joey Porter last year, very, very fundamental guy. Very obviously has some bloodlines there with his dad playing there. I think Jackson Powers Johnson for me is definitely in play here. I think he's going to shoot up boards. Definitely an option here that I'm kind of leaning towards Jackson Powers Johnson. Or going back to the cornerback room to address that. The secondary there, the defense was very subpar this year. Obviously, you have some elite pass rushers in T.J. Watt and Alex Highsmith and Casey Hayward, and there's some pieces in the front seven that really could go nicely. You have Fitzpatrick at safety and Joey Porter, really like him in secondary there, but they do need a couple more pieces. I think they go to the Alabama well here and take Kool-Aid McKinstry out of Alabama there to really round off that D-back room at 20. At 21 here for the Miami Dolphins. Interesting spot for them. I'll be honest, I don't know the Dolphins roster off the top of my head. Super, super strong. I know they have a ton of receiver to have pretty solid in the secondary there. They have some younger pass rush guys. Bradley Chubb obviously getting hurt there. There wasn't a whole lot of depth in the pass rush behind him. I think the offensive line could possibly use some help. So I think Jackson Powers Johnson and Amarius Mims are in play here for the Dolphins. It's kind of, do you want to go an inside or an outside guy? Mims plays on the right side. He's right tackle here. I think they'll look for Amarius Mims here. I think. All right, yeah, we'll go with Amarius Mims here to the Dolphins. The Eagles up here, I don't think anybody expected to be picking at 22. Early in the year here, they definitely have some holes in that roster there. I think this falls perfectly for them, and it'd be a potential another draft day steal here. I'm not even going to think twice about this one. Quinyon Mitchell to the Eagles. I feel like he embodies that mindset they have down there, and he'll fit well there. And that hurts to me because I really like Quinyon Mitchell, and I really don't like the Philadelphia Eagles. So that's a tough one for me just to see that fall out. But that's a very, very good fit. That's one of probably the best fits out there, I think. That'll take us here at 23 with the Houston Texans. I think they like the receivers they had last year with with Tank Dell having a solid year. Obviously, Nico Collins is a freaking monster. I think they may be in the vet market there for a third option. Although they have some depth there. John Mechie's still there, trying to figure out what he's going to be in the league. Obviously, coming back from the medical issues. Um, Defense, obviously, you have a defensive-minded coach there. I think we're looking to bolster that defense. Obviously, you took Will Anderson last year, and he wins Rookie of the Year. He had C.J. Stroud in the offense, who wins Offensive Rookie of the Year. So they know what they're doing in the draft here. I don't think they overthink this one. I'm going to go Lieto Latu to help bolster that front seven. D'Amico Ryans there loves he played defense. He was a defensive player, so I think he loves that, and he rolls building that front seven there and getting that pass rush right. 24 hit the Dallas Cowboys up. Interesting season for them. Obviously, playing kind of for Mike McCarthy's season this year, so we'll see if it means anything different. The defense has some spots on it. Obviously had some injuries last year. Deron Bland had a great year. They lost Trayvon Diggs, so he'll be back this year. Offensive line was very good. Some question marks on all of them are going to be back. I think Jackson Powers Johnson is definitely the way they go here. I'm not going to overthink that. With Jackson Powers Johnson's going in the first round. 24 might be honestly too low for him. He had a monster day, monster week of the Senior Bowl, and he's firmly in the top 32 in this class. I think there's a solid argument that he could go, 20 is going to be a really strong look. I think 16 will be a strong look. 17 to the Jags, Seahawks are potentially in that market. I think there's definitely some strong consideration toward him being higher on this board than where he ends up going here. 25 here for the Green Bay Packers there. Really overachieved in my opinion there, kind of a year or two ahead, and from what I've seen or from what I was expecting out of here, I do think Byron Murphy is very, very much in play here. I think offensive line's very, very much in play here. I don't see really on the offensive side. I think they're all right there, especially in the first round. I'm going to say they go Taylor Guyton with the upside there, a guy who is probably the most athletic tackle in this class. Had a really good Senior Bowl as well, kind of moving up draft boards there. I think he's definitely in the first round for me. I would be really, really shocked if Tyler Guyton does not go in the first round in this draft class. So I'm going to go Taylor Guyton there to the Green Bay Packers. Moving on, number 26 to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Obviously, got to make a commitment here to Baker, in my opinion. I think that's where their offseason start is getting Baker Mayfield locked up. I do think Mike Evans has a very strong possibility to not be back. I don't know if that would be the end of the world as far as that goes. The receivers there kind of disappointing this year. I mean, obviously Evans is good. Chris Godwin didn't seem to be quite the player he was last year. They have a bunch of needs. The defense needs some work. Edge rusher, linebacker, corner all seem to be in play here. Offensive line potentially in play here. A guy like Jordan Morgan would be in play. Byron Murphy probably not in play here with Vita Vea and all them on that. The D line's solid. Need somebody on the edge. Receiver could be in play. I would not be surprised by like a Brian Thomas here, or I like Lab McConkley, but I don't see it. Keon Coleman potentially here. Didn't have the best Senior Bowl, so he kind of hurt his stock in my opinion there. This one's a tough one. Not really sure where I see them going. Rackshaw would probably make some sense here. Braylon Trice would probably make some sense here. Chris Braswell didn't have the best Senior Bowl for me. Probably played himself out of the first round. Troy Fatnow, guy who can play tackle, guard, would probably really be in play there. Darius Robinson's really flying up boards. Wouldn't be shocked to see him go back in the first round here, so not out of the realm of possibility here. Chop Robinson, I think, would probably be in play here. Yeah, I think Chop Robinson makes a lot of sense here for me. I'm kind of going back and forth between that and Fat now, but we'll take the physical freak here, Chop Robinson, and to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. 27 here. The 40. I'm sorry. The Arizona Cardinals back on the clock here for their second pick at 27. Obviously at number 4, the board did not fall quite how they wanted to with losing out on Maserati Marv, and they have to settle for Malik Neighbors there. Not really settling. Malik Neighbors is a hell of a player. We're back up here for their second round pick. Their second first round pick here. I think offensive line's definitely in play. Corners definitely in play. Rackshaw, Kamari Lasser, I have a hard time putting in the first, just on physical. Very, very smart player. Got a lot out of his board, out of his body. Potentially somebody going down the board here. Christian Haynes may make an appearance here towards the back of the first round. In real life, he had a great Senior Bowl. I think they're out of the receiver market now with taking Neighbors. I don't think they're taking both the LSU guys. Braylon Trice, I think, possibly in play here. But I'm going to say they go to bolster that defensive line. No, I'm going to say they go Troy Vatno. No, they're going to go. I can play tackle, can play guard. Could be a swing tackle for you if you need to. Troy Vatno. I'm going that. That makes sense. Receiver. Moving on here to 28 for the Buffalo Bills, I think there's no way in hell they're not going receiver in the first round. And it's just, what do you want? Brian Thomas, Troy Franklin, Ladd McConkey had a really good Senior Bowl. Keon Coleman, the big jump ball guy, is here. But I think they're going to go Brian Thomas. I think that makes some sense. Is Stephon Diggs back? Is Gabe Davis back? They got some question marks on the receiver. They're definitely going receiver here in the first. Probably not the first, not the last time they look at receiver in this class. 29 here, the Detroit Lions have some needs on the offensive line there. It was banged up towards the end of the year. Heard some rumblings that Ragnow may consider stepping away, which would shock me. So we'll see. Offensive line could be in play here. Jordan Morgan's a guy who could potentially bump into guard. Byron Murphy would be somebody I would consider here to help out there. But that secondary was so bad outside of Brian Branch this year that I think they have to. It's TJ Tampa here makes some sense. I don't like Kamari Lassiter in the first round. I think if you can get him early, day 2, I like it better there. Just the value to athlete proposition there for me is just not there. Rackshaw's a solid guy. I do like Rackshaw here. So I do think that Rackshaw will be the guy for the Lions here as they continue to bolster that secondary. I like that actually. Moving on here to pick number 30, the Baltimore Ravens. Got some question marks on receiver on who comes back. Obviously you find a guy with Zay Flowers who's a dog. Corners could be in play here. Braylon Trice on the edge could be in play here, but I don't think there's any chance they take anybody but Byron Murphy in this scenario. Really build that defensive line back up with Justin Matabuke probably leaving in free agency. He's going to want a bunch of money. He's going to get a bunch of money, so I can see that definitely being the route. The Super Bowl runner-ups here. The San Francisco 49ers on the clock. They pretty decent roster coming back next year. Kind of be what they determined is their biggest need. I think they could look to bolster the offensive line. Trent Williams getting a little older. I think a guy like Jordan Morgan's definitely in play here. Depending on what they do with edge rusher, I think a guy like Darius Robinson's in play. Chris Braswell, possibly. Jonah Ellis would make some sense here. If I don't think Chase Young, I don't think Chase Young's back next year. Zach Frazier would make some sense for interior lineman. Grant Barton, a guy who could play, I think he's guard in the league. Guard potentially. I think he's actually probably play center. I think center is probably his best NFL listed position, I think there. Grant Barton definitely played center at the Senior Bowl, played it pretty well. Corner could potentially be in play. There's not one that I'm in love with at the back of the first round here. In all honesty, I really truly think if this is how the board would fall, there is no way in hell the 49ers take this pick. They would trade this pick out for somebody coming back up for a quarterback, maybe J.J. McCarthy or J.J. McCarthy is probably the only first round potential quarterback there. But this scenario here, let's get back to it. I'm going to say they go Jordan Morgan. They start to bolster that offensive line, start to plan for the future there. It's a guy who could play guard, I think, in the league. I think he probably does play guard in the league, but can play tackle for you. So you bring him in, give him some time to learn the offense and really grow that way here. And then the Kansas City Chiefs, Super Bowl champs here. Back up, I still think they are going receiver. They have Rashee Rice. They really like him. It's just which receiver do you want? Do you want your deep ball, jump ball guy with Keon Coleman, which they don't really have? Vlad McConkley was a freaking monster at the Senior Bowl. Nobody could cover him early in that. A.D. Mitchell is a guy that I wouldn't be shocked to see in the first round with his long speed. Devontae Walker, he's definitely not going in the first round. He had a pretty piss poor Senior Bowl, in my opinion. Had some drop issues there. There's no way in hell the Chiefs are looking for a receiver with drop issues there. Xavier Legette, I really like Xavier Legette. I'm a little lower on him now. He did measure 2 inches shorter than what I anticipated him to measure at. Him only being 6'1" instead of 6'3" is a big difference there. But he is a physical freak. This would be a scenario, too, that potentially this pick could be in play if somebody wanted to come up if the Niners didn't trade out in this scenario. Ricky Parasol had a really good senior day. Xavier Worley I really like. Adrian Cooper I do like. Devondre Sweats here. The linebackers are still there. I think they want to go get a big jump ball red zone target outside of Travis Kelce. Obviously, Kelsey's getting a little older here. So I'm going to go Keon Coleman. I'm going to still go Keon Coleman to the Kansas City Chiefs. But that'll wrap up our final round here. I do think there is a very real possibility of this draft there. I don't think Drake May gets the 6. I do think the number 4 would, the Cardinals would trade that pick and somebody would come up and take him there. I don't see any way that Drake May gets out of the top 4. Some names that I would like to see try to get in this first round, and it's just hard to find spots for him. There's a lot of good players going to be available here early day 2. I do think there's another quarterback that goes in the first round. I full-heartedly expect 5, 2, 6. I think there's 5 going in the first round for sure. I think there's a very real possibility that 6 go. I feel like a very real possibility that there's 8 offensive linemen go in the first round. I'm not sure how many I did have in this one here. Let me look real quick. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I have 9. I have 8 tackles on a center in the first round, which I think honestly is very, very realistic. It's a very deep tackle class. It's very high need position value here. When you have two interior D linemen going, a couple edge guys going. Here was it? 1, 2, 3. I only got 3 edge rushers going there, which I think there's probably 4 that are first round grade guys. Depending how you feel on Chop Robinson. Chop Robinson's the tough one. The Penn State guys, in my opinion, this year are really tough to figure out what they're going to be with. Fashion out, maybe falling down on some boards more here, and Chop Robinson being just an absolute physical freak, but just not having the production grade to really make you feel comfortable with taking him. You definitely, he's a boomer bust guy. But it's going to be exciting draft this year. Really looking forward to it. So we're about 70 days away. The combine coming up here, this month. It's 2 weeks away, I believe. So it's going to be a busy time. I'm excited for you here. Hopefully we'll have our top 10 tackles out to you. Video. We'll shoot that video next week. We'll get your top edge rusher standalone video. We'll get that out this weekend here for you. But that'll wrap up this week's episode here. Super Bowl recap. Little solo mock draft here. Might do a little bit more solo mock drafts here, as well as the back and forth with Judge. Hopefully, maybe get the tackles in a 2-rounder out next week. I'd really like to get a 2-round mock out here in the next week or two at the worst. But all right, guys, I appreciate it. If you have obviously hop in the comment section, tell me I'm an idiot. Tell me how bad this mock draft sucks. What you want to see us do next? We really appreciate it. If you can, like, subscribe, share it with your friends, talk some shit, get on the Facebook page. All right, guys, we appreciate it. Thanks. Bye.